Welcome to Life on the Moose. We are back at it today. And when I say we, I mean just me. No, Karen's not here. I almost didn't allow her out in public because I knew everyone was going to be, oh, there's Karen, ooh. I'm joking, as if I have any control what the heck Karen does. No, seriously, it was great having her. Appreciate the nice welcome you gave her, the great comments. It's all very much appreciated. Well, we made a big decision in the last couple of days. We decided what kind of sheathing we were going to use for sure. There's a lot of things you can put out here to meet the APA standards, the structural sheathing requirements. You can do OSB or plywood. We are going to do zip sheathing. Yes, it's a little more spendy. There's no doubt about it. There's actually 3 or 4 reasons why I'm going to use the zip system. You have air barrier, you have water barrier by taping the seams, and you also have insulation. Yeah, I'm going to do zip R6. In the state of Washington, aside from the cavity insulation, 20, maybe 21, aside from that, you have to have an R5 in continuous insulation all the way around the exterior of your house. So you just can't build with a 2x8 or a 2x10 to get that thickness in the wall. Isn't going to cut it. You need continuous insulation. That means insulation on the outside of the studs. The R value of a stud of a piece of wood like this is only about 1 per inch. Let's say this is R6. That's it. So when you have a bunch of studs like this is only R6. So that's not good. By putting that continuous insulation around it, you automatically double the R value of all of these members. Plus you add 6 more onto the cavity insulation. So overall, it's roughly 40 to 50% increase in R value on the whole wall. I don't have the product here. I ordered it. It's supposed to be here, I think, in 3 days, probably by the time the next video comes out. Speaking of next video, I hopefully will have some help. You remember Pat and Rick and Steve? Well, they're supposedly going to come over, at least 2 of the 3, I believe. So we'll find out in a few days. But that Zip R sheathing is an OSB product. On the outside, it has almost like a rubberized coating that is waterproof and airproof. And on the inside of this OSB sheathing, there's a 1-inch layer of polyiso insulation. So with every big decision like this comes consequences. And one of the consequences is I messed up on the layout of my studs. Well, sort of. Here's what I did. So this is an outside corner. With typical sheathing, you just take the outside corner and you just come flush with the outside. And then on this side, you do the same thing. Well, remember, that's only 7/16, half an inch, you can say. Well, that's no big deal. You can fudge a half an inch on these things because these are 1.5 inches, as you know. So you can fudge a half an inch from the corner either way. It's not going to matter. But when this sheathing is 1.5 inches thick, like the stuff we're going to get, all of a sudden when you put this on one side, it's going to make it really thick. And you can't have the corners open. You have to overlap the corners in order to achieve, well, everything. The R value, the air value, all of that stuff. By the time you put one sheet over here, you got to move this sheet all the way over to this corner right here. And that means we're going to be off when it comes to the layout, to the stud over here. If you move that sheet over, it's not going to capture this one. Luckily, it's not that big of a deal. I don't have to alter a whole heck of a lot because we have a bunch of short walls up so far. Big wall that we have finished up over here on the end, that is on layout. That is going to continue on layout. That's not going to be affected. The inside corners, as you can see right here, I have basically a 2x facing each direction. When I use 1.5 inch sheathing, it's going to cover up that next nailer. So I just have to add 1 more nailer to the inside corners. Not that big of a deal. So all in all, I counted, I think I have to add 4 more studs, and that's it. So not that big of a deal. I'd like to get it finished up in this episode, and a few other things. I never did finish this wall, put that header in, etc. And I never did set this 4x4 post over here, the one that has the metal strapping. Don't remind me. Oh, speaking of, my leg is doing fantastic. Knock on wood. Yeah, I have it wrapped up really well. I have a bunch of gauze over the wound itself. And then I have this plastic soccer shin guard. So I don't want to hurt that wound. So I feel really good right now. Again, knock on wood. I'm down to 0 pain meds of any kind. I can walk about 90% normal. I'm supposed to get the stitches out in 4 days from now, which is the same day my help is supposed to arrive. So we have a lot going on next week. So before that all happens, I'd like to get this episode shot, get a lot more work done, and get ready for those guys when they come over here. So once we get past this wall that we have up, I'm going to change the layout over there to accommodate my 16-inch centers, since I'll now have to start that first piece of sheathing 1.5 inches farther that way than I have planned right here. So I just need to put another stud at 4 feet to capture the end of that sheathing when we put it up. And then I need to put one at 8 feet. Well, 8 feet happens to be right here. So on the other side, this is hollow. It's open on the other side. So I'm going to stick a 2x4 in there. And then from this point forward, I'll just change my layout by 1.5 inches and we'll be good to go. Can you hear that? It's raining. Check it out. I'm happy about that. And yeah, check out the sky. You probably saw from earlier video, we are almost crystal clear. We have some clouds because we have rain moving in, but the smoke is non-existent right here, and I'm very happy about that. Let's cut these studs for that wall right there, which is an 8-foot wall. And if you remember, my studs are 92 and 5/8. Okay, here's my 4-foot mark right here. So this stud has to go on that side of it, because that sheathing has to shift over 1.5 inches to capture that corner. That's going to be on that wall. That makes sense, right? I thought so. I don't want to forget about this cavity. Got to put insulation in there. Okay, right here is where we need our next nailer. So we got to cut this blocking out right here. Well, coincidentally, it was not a coincidence. The distance between the blade and this edge, including the thickness of the blade, is 1.5 inches. So that's where it comes in handy. Remind me to pick that nail up. I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch of that off. There's no reason to fight it. going to move this brace so we can put this header up here. Tight fit. Yikes, we're in for some more rain. Okay, well that was weird. It's gone. It was nasty, dark, and windy, incredibly windy, but we didn't get very much rain, just a few drops of rain, and that was it. But remember I was telling you earlier how it didn't smell smoky anymore? Well, when this wind came through, it must have brought some ash from way over there, because all of a sudden it just reeked like a wet campfire. You pour water on a campfire and it just smells more ashy than it does smoky. That's what it smelled like, and now it's like gone again. So it's bizarre. So let's put a 5-inch screw in there and tighten that up. I need 3 at 9 1/4 for my blocks above the header. Well, our friend swung by. Last week when well, actually it's been probably 2 weeks ago, when I finished this wall, or I stood this wall up, I should say. I built this wall, stood it up. I did one thing wrong. This little junction right here. See that post over there, that U-shaped post that I just stuck that 2x4 in earlier this episode? Well, that is shaped like that because there's going to be a wall here. And I make that U-post so I have a good solid connection from the interior wall to that exterior wall. Well, I should have done the same thing right here, and I just completely forgot about it. Well, this stud right here happens to be on layout from our 0.0 over there. So I'm going to take a 2x4 and put it in here sideways instead of a 2x6. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I happen to have a double stud right here where these two walls met. So if I put a 2x4 in there the flat way, then I'll have a nailer for drywall on both sides. Yeah, I cut that just a little shy so I wouldn't have to fight with it. Looks like it's in down there. Enough anyway. And this 2x4, I don't know if you see it, it's a little wavy, so I'm gonna get a clamp on there, tighten it up, and straighten it up. I think that'd be better. That looks better. I'll tighten that up too. In the same episode I put up that wall, I talked about a beam that's going to run across from this 6x6 over that infamous strapping, and it's going to sit in a pocket in that wall. Let's build that pocket right now. Actually, why don't we go get that beam over here? I think I can muscle it by myself. It's only a 4x8, which is really 3.5 by 7.25 ish. So let's move that. I think I can handle it. Okay, here's our beam right here. This top one looks like it's tethered to another one underneath it. So I have to cut that strapping. Okay, the bottom of that beam is going to sit 8 3/4 of an inch off of the top of this top plate, not the top plate, but the next one. So 8 3/4. So that means my jacks, look at that, 97 3/8. That looks good. Let's make it 97 3/8. So we'll need 2 of those. Yeah, it's not very pretty. Well, let's try to make it work. Ha! Look at that. That's a 1 in a million chances. Let's undo that, should we? Goodness. Okay. I'm untethered. Okay, let's measure for that beam right there. So that beam is going to go, obviously, the other side of this post to the other side of that wall. And I'm going to subtract 1/4 inch because there's no reason to test it. Okay, as you can see right here, we're probably 170 1/4 or close to it. I'm gonna make this 170 even. I might even make it a little bit less than that. 169 7/8. Let's do that. 169 7/8. Let's square this off. This is an LVL, laminated veneer lumber. Butter. Okay, it's almost 3 o'clock. Wind is picking up. I've been on my feet all day. I'm gonna cut this short. I'm gonna go edit what I've done this morning, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll do some more work. Don't go anywhere. You'll never guess what these are for. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Should I put the beam up first or should I put that post up first? I'm gonna put that beam up first. This LVL is straight as an arrow and there is no deflection. I can hold one end of this up on the ground. There's no bow whatsoever, so that's a good thing. So I'm gonna put the beam up first. I'm gonna do it similar as I did that big beefy beam over there, but this is not going to be nearly as heavy. Yeah, it's a little longer, but it's going to be manageable. Usually something long like that usually allows for some good leverage, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So I'm going to go back and forth from ladder, and then over here, that's what I just finished up attaching to this wall. Have a couple of rungs ready to go, and then I temporarily screwed on a couple things here. This one, so I can lift the beam up there and it won't fall out. And on the very top, I also have a board that I sistered on the outside so that beam doesn't come off sideways. So I'm not going to say it's 100% guaranteed foolproof, but I feel good about it, good enough for me to do it. That's it. I'm going to fasten this beam to this corner so it doesn't move. I'm going to attach that beam to the outside wall with this 4.5-inch timber screw. That'll hold it. Okay, here's my other jack. When I put that just like that, there's a gap there. That gap is 1/2 inch. That's because we're putting 2 studs together, which equals 3 inches, and our beam is 3.5 inches wide. So rather than leave that void there and hoping I can fill it up with spray foam or something, let's just fill it. I have some 1/2-inch scrap plywood around, so let's just fill that gap. I think that'd be easier. So I have my 1/2-inch, well, actually 7/16. So let's rip that at 5.5 inches. Oh, I never showed you the finished product underneath my office. Check it out. Yeah, I insulated that earlier this spring, and about a month ago when Karen was here for my birthday, we put plywood up there, so now it's finished. I even took a little piece of old live edge, trimmed out the front. But I digress. Let's rip some plywood. More crooked wood. Whoa. This post was originally supposed to be a 4x4 according to the engineer. I made it a 6x6 because I thought it would be easier to tie into that wall, which is a 2x6 wall. So because I knew this is overkill, this beam or this post is actually tapered a little bit by about 7/16 of an inch. So I put that little piece of plywood up there so my bracket could fit on it nicely. Plus, I'm going to be wrapping this with other wood when it's all said and done. Let's put a post up. Okay, we have to put this 4x4 post up, but we need to put this big, heavy, beefy bracket on there. So what I think I'm gonna do is fasten that bracket onto that first, and then measure from down there to up there, see what I need to do, and then I'll slide the whole thing in sideways. I think I'll be able to do that. Do you have a better idea? Measure the height of that post, that distance, what the post should be, but I just can't take it off the post because there's a bunch of bulk here and there's a little gap right there, and that is about 3/8 of an inch from this edge of the wood to this inside of the metal. It was 98 3/4 of an inch, but if I subtract this 3/8 gap between here and here, that gives me 98 3/8. So the board, or this post, should be 98 3/8. And then by the time I add this stuff on, it'll be right where I need to be. Sound right? I hope so. in there. And it's tight. I thought maybe I'd have to shim it, but it's tight. The bottom top plate. I'll worry about the top plate a little bit later. Know you're gonna fit. Well, the post and beam are up and nobody got hurt. That's a good thing. So thanks for watching Life of the Moose. It means a lot to me. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next week.